Ladies and gentlemen, it's Saturday once again. Welcome to WrestleTalk News. I am your host, Sat E. Niangi, and here's... Oh, that paper fell down. The top story. The 2024 Royal Rumble is just 2 weeks away, and WWE seems to be preparing us for all few different outcomes. Number one, Cody sets up the end to his never-ending story. And number two, CM Punk caps off perhaps the most insane decade-long story arc of any wrestler ever. Or it could be that electrifying elephant in the room, the one who rudely cut the line for the Mania main event like only he has the power to do, and tease what could be the biggest match of all time. Yeah, that guy. While Cody and Punk already have their spot secured for the Rumble, it seems as if The Rock may have plans to do the very Rock thing, dropping unannounced on January 27th for a surprise pop. According to Dave Meltzer, in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, Rock winning the Rumble as a late surprise entrant is something that has been discussed many times in the past for years, where Rock was considered to return. However, the key difference being those previous years of Rock versus Roman speculations were never actually fueled by any evidence on WWE TV. Unlike this year, because we've actually seen it, and there's no way WWE teases something as big as that without a payoff, right? The main problem being, if WWE do choose to go this route, they may find themselves in a situation that, funnily enough, emulates the last time CM Punk was in a Rumble in 2014. As I'm sure you remember, the 2014 Rumble was a tragedy, only to be topped by the following year, which was even worse somehow. Batista, fresh off a successful foray into Hollywood, made his big return to the WWE and immediately won the Rumble at the expense of the actual full-time guy that everyone thought should have won, Daniel Bryan. While Rock is probably too beloved to receive such heat, Meltzer continued to write that the decision would lie solely within The Rock himself. So essentially, Cody's WrestleMania fate may lay in Dwayne's hands. And I say WrestleMania because, as many would have expected, it seems as if, despite reports suggesting that it could be a possibility, any chance of Rock vs. Roman happening at the Elimination Chamber is all but dead. When further discussing WWE's potential plans, Meltzer wrote that any rumors of the match happening in Australia aren't accurate, with Reigns never being planned or advertised to appear, let alone compete at the show. Now, that's not to say Rock can't still compete at the show. Maybe Rock will earn his shot at Roman via a chamber win instead. Let us know how you would solve this WrestleMania conundrum in the comments below. All right, that's the end of the news. And now, coming back to Saturday Days for the first time in 2024. He has been gone from Saturday Days since the early beginnings of December. He is the pride of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. He is the handsomest man to ever wear a mask. He's got lovely blue eyes and nice dimpled ass. Don't ask me, his business told me. Ladies and gentlemen, he is my soulmate. He is my partner. He is the one and only. He is Tempest B Canada. OMG, look who is back. Booty is back, booty back. And of course, the camera goes, where does it go? Black.
999,999. 1 million. I'm Turbo Jack, the 80s wrestler, and my New Year's resolution is to get even more jacked than I already am. Maybe if I get so jacked, my ex-wife Jolene will take me back. But your 2024 New Year's resolution should be becoming a WrestleTalk Patreon on Patreon, like these wonderful people right now who get a shout out on this show and loads of exclusive content. So thank you very much. The $100 Man, CD Horver, the Mayor of Painesville, Dan, Big Jiggy, Josh Marlin, Double L, Liam Leonard, the Met Man, Matthew Allen, Abominable Michael Abbott, Ryan, Disco Stewart, Thomas the Prize Hooker, Solazano. Well, there's a Will Campbell, and the Machine Gun, Alex Anderson. So start 2024 right by going over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk to become a pledge hammer today.
This is Rampage Homecoming, Sat. Sort of. I mean, they'd already left Daly's place by the time they'd started Rampage, but it doesn't matter. It's Rampage, baby. Sat, start the clock. Eddie Kingston defended the Continental Crown Championship against Wheeler Yuta in an unsurprisingly good match that got plenty of time. Yuta only has one win on TV ever, and let me tell you, I was not expecting this to be number 2. Mark Briscoe was indoctrinated into the Hardy Boys, given a pendant and everything, basically living the Tempest dream. They said they would win the Trios Gold, but as the segment went on, Briscoe looked more and more worried. Swerve beat Matt Sydal in a very fun little match with the JML driver, and then backstage, Private Party and Top Flight are beefing until Action Andretti did that thing where you drink the whole water bottle in a second. It's a power move, I respect it. Hikaru Shida then beat Queen Aminata. They about to run this match back on a pay-per-view in like 2 years, mark my words. Saraya showed Ruby Soho footage of Angelo Parker kissing Harley Cameron backstage, and she threw a cake in his face, which he had to wrestle with, as he and Matt Menard and Jake Hager took on the Dark Order in the main event, with Hager getting pinned when he was distracted by -1 stealing his hat. I'm glad to see Silver and Reynolds pin someone with their little combo.
Oh, 58 seconds. Look who came back and owned the place. Gosh darn it.
New year, new Tempest. 1 for 1, baby. New year, kind of same SmackDown. I'm Tempest, and this is my review of SmackDown in about 5 minutes. We open the show with a bait and switch as Austin Theory and Grayson Waller prepare for a match with Cameron Grimes, only for the Bloodline to take Grimes out during his entrance and commandeer the beginning of SmackDown. Heyman says that the Bloodline aren't the bad guys here. The bad guy is that James Bond wannabe Nick Aldis for booking Roman Reigns in a fatal 4-way match at the Royal Rumble. Aldis eventually came to the ring and took the microphone from Paul to say that the 4-way is a done deal and the Bloodline ruining matches on SmackDown will not become a trend before booking a main event of all of Roman's challengers versus the Bloodline in a trios match. To which Heyman responded that Roman wasn't there, and Aldis said they could find a partner or it would be a handicap match. This was succinct and to the point, and I love that they continue to show Aldis to be an authority figure with an actual backbone for once. There was a moment here where Heyman wanted the mic back and Aldis wouldn't let go of it, and it was just a great representation of Aldis not backing down from these people that stood on Adam Pearce's throat for 3 years. The Bloodline was then backstage and Jimmy was freaking out over not having a partner, to which Heyman responded, not to worry, he will handle it. Solo never worries. We then got our actual first match of the show as Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza took on Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro. The work in the match itself was quite good, and I really liked how the former Lotharios cut off Cruz's shine by just moving the ropes and f***ing with his momentum. Otherwise, though, the crowd did not get terribly into this one, which hurt the presentation. It isn't surprising, we've been saying for a year now that you need to do something to make Cruz and Joaquin credible, but they haven't, so at the moment, they're baby faces no one believes in, which is a bad thing to be. The finish came when Santos Escobar, who was on commentary, was attacked from behind by Carlito, and then Angel managed to secure a roll-up and hold on to the ropes for the pin. Again, some exciting stuff, but still a bit of a cold match. Carmelo Hayes was backstage talking to Nick Aldis and wants to enter the Royal Rumble, but got cut off by Theory and Waller. They tried to grill Aldis, but ended up getting into it with Mello, resulting in Theory and Mello being booked for later. Heyman tried to recruit Carlito with an apple, but Carlito says he only wants to fight Santos. But he did take the apple. We then had Logan Paul backstage try to tell Kevin Owens that if he tries to pull what he did last week again, then his little title shot will go bye-bye. Earlier in the day, Butch and Tyler Bate were shown to be hanging out in a spotlighted coffee shop, area of catering, I don't know. Anyway, Butch tried to tell Bate that it was fun beating up Pretty Deadly together, but they need to do their own things. Butch wants to be his own man, but Bate gave him a pep talk and said that he is lost and he needs to remember what was said to him in Blackpool and he needs to figure out who he is. Pete Dunne incoming! You folks that get pissed when I call people by their old ring names are gonna have to find something else to complain about. We then finally had another match as Bianca Belair beat Bayley. I'll start with the positives here. There were some really fun and creative spots in this match, including but not limited to Bayley tying Bianca's braid to the bottom rope and Bianca laying out so her braid would be a tripwire. Also, the finish of Bayley dumping Bianca to the outside, then distracting the referee, only for Damage Control to not help, resulting in Bianca recovering and hitting the KOD, was very effective and a fun spin on a cliche wrestling trope. The downside is the crowd wasn't into this match either for at least the first 3 quarters. This felt like the fault of no one involved, just unfortunate because they did have to stop a few times to try and hype up the crowd. Regardless, the positives outweighed the negatives here, and a new fun chapter in the story of Bayley and Damage Control has been written. Kevin Owens responded to Logan Paul backstage and said that his cast isn't an advantage, and if Logan wants to go face-to-face with him again, why doesn't he come on the Kevin Owens show next week? Bayley was then shown backstage asking Dakota what happened out there, and Dakota told Bayley that they thought she should have been able to beat Bianca on her own. Back in the ring, Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits are angry about getting jumped by Karrion Kross and AOP. Bobby cuts a truthfully very dry promo about them not being the type to attack you from behind. If they have a problem with you, they'll walk to the ring looking for a fight. They called out their foes, but instead they were greeted by a video package of Kross naming his new group as the Final Testament. It's 2024, I'm giving everyone a chance again. I want this group to work. It's the first thing they've actually done with Kross since he's come back, so if anything is gonna be the thing that gets this guy over, it had better be this. Pretty Deadly approached Paul Heyman backstage and said they would be honored to support the Bloodline as the best tag team on SmackDown, to which Heyman replied that only one of them would be able to join the match, and it was at this point that they both realized that they had left their ovens on and they had to leave promptly and swiftly. He tried Bobby Lashley next and said they'd been friends for a long time and Bobby can work out some of that aggression in the main event, to which Lashley declined, saying he only wants to spend time in the ring with the Bloodline when he is standing across the ring from Roman Reigns. We then got Carmelo Hayes versus Austin Theory, and this is a very unfortunate match to talk about because I was so ready and excited to come on here and sing the praises of Carmelo Hayes, praise this match, and I still will, but it did get called off because of an injury, so the vibes are just no longer as pleasant. Melo's offense was crisp in this match, even by his own high standards, with the springboard clothesline and La Mystica both hitting their mark perfectly. Theory then unfortunately went for his top rope sit-out springboard Spanish fly, and it just got six ways from Sunday, with both guys landing awkwardly and Theory in particular landing on his head. A very dour final note to an otherwise good match. The Bloodline met one more time as Jimmy asked who Heyman got, and Heyman flipped the script and said no one is worthy of teaming with the Bloodline. We then had our main event, and immediately Randy Orton was attacked during his entrance by Solo and Jimmy, evening the odds. LA Knight, yeah! And AJ Styles obviously still don't get along, arguing over who would start and eventually arguing when Knight wasn't on the apron because of Solo Sikoa when AJ Styles needed a tag. The Bloodline looked to have the match won, but then Randy Orton rejoined the match and pinned Jimmy with an RKO. After the match, everyone hit their finishers on Solo, and then the good guys beat up the Bloodline and put Solo through the announce table to end the show. Overall, an inoffensive episode of SmackDown. Some stories were furthered a little bit, but for the most part, this could be considered a filler episode of SmackDown. A filler episode with some good wrestling and logical story beats, but not a lot that you'll need to catch your coworker up on Monday. This SmackDown gets a 2 out of 5. And that just about wraps things up from me, but before I go, make sure you check out the latest episode of Survival Series over on Parts Fun Known, where our contestants try to name every single WWE Royal Rumble entrant. You heard that right, and it's just about as insane as you think it would be. So make sure you check it out now over on Parts Fun Known. Like right now. Click the link right here, you mother...
Look at the green and the blue, I feel like I'm in Star Wars. Boo, 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 bang, bang.